Hello everyone, I'm Greyshot17 and today I'm covering a number of topics about the upcoming Company of Heroes 3 expansion. But first, before we talk about the Last Stand battle group and the live stream that was recently released, let's talk about what you all had to say from my last video. So if you have a comment, leave it down below and I may talk about it in the next video, most likely coming out probably every Friday up until and shortly after this expansion's release, especially if they keep slowly providing more details, and not just with the expansion itself, but with the patch that is coming out at the same time. So, and that would be with Scarlet Bison that's coming out. So again, just let's have a color and let's have an animal. But suffice to say, let's get to your comments. Jan Dams says, Glide Bomb is a controllable unit. Now he took this because if you look at the bottom left, it has its own unit card. That was in a screenshot I posted. I'll post it here. And yeah, there is a unit icon. I don't know if it's going to be how controllable or how that exactly will fly, but the Glide Bomb essentially was a target that specifically was going after radio controlled items, specifically ships. Something else he mentioned was Polish infantry were described in the store page that they thrived against veteran enemies. This is something that I'll talk about a little later in the live stream, but I don't know if this means they may have a bonus against it or they just have bonuses that make them very competent, strong men, whether it's veterancy abilities or something like that would be interesting. Also, the I'm going to say it now, the Borgward, hopefully I get that right. It's a Borgward 4. Immediately someone's going to correct my pronunciation, but the Borgward essentially was purposed toward the end of the war during the Battle of Berlin, where they had 6 Panzerschrecks on it. But another commenter, Digman, mentioned that is actually related to the Goliath. It's one of the remote control tanks filled with explosives. It's a demolition vehicle like the Goliath. So thank you all for kind of providing some more insight, because yeah, I had no idea what this thing was. And again, Titan Wolf also says armed with 6 essentially Panzerschrecks. Now, continuing on with some other stuff, Dutch Toast actually made a comment about the screenshots on the store page also give a hint as to the new maps are coming. Do you recognize them? You judge one of them. And again, when upon closer inspection, yes, I did. But I will show that a little bit later because they talked about the maps in the live stream. Then a random person who I shall not name said, why on earth they go with such cringe ways to create ridiculous battle groups? And he mentioned the ones he wanted, such as the Elite Panzer Army for the DAK, SS troops. I see where this is going. SAS for the Brits. Now, to be fair for that one, that was something someone else brought in. And Russian partisans for the USF. Yeah, because Russian partisans. I really want that, not Italian partisans in Italy. Makes perfect sense. Understood. But correctly, Trapoviho, hopefully I get this right, says, why are you calling Polish reinforcements cringe? And I agree. Honestly, I kind of been rooting for battle groups specifically for countries. Again, in previous videos, I mentioned the Greek battle group, but the fact we're getting a Polish battle group, I think is fantastic. I think more representation of countries that fought in World War II, especially in key battles. The Polish absolutely have a fighting history in Italy and doing way higher than they have than you would think, being a I don't want to say a volunteer, but essentially an army in exile, since their country was occupied during the time, first by the Germans and Soviets, then just the Germans. It's yeah, we'll get to actually a little detail on that, but those are the comments. Moving on to a video going over the Last Stand battle group. This is an overview video for the Wehrmacht, and it covers all the different abilities. The first one is your Pioneers will become Sturm Pioneers. They get G43s, they cap faster, they get these sandbag walls that block sight and light up to light vehicles. Medium and higher can, I'm assuming, break them. Just bust right through like the Kool-Aid Man. But they also can get an SGG44 upgrade, they can also get a flamethrower upgrade, so either or, and then whatever they get, they also get an extra man. So they also get an ability to just chuck grenades, like you're in battlefield and you're next to a supply crate and you're just constantly throwing them. Yeah, they get that too, and it's not one. Every model gets a grenade. So I feel like if you're going with this battle group, this is going to be the infantry that you pick. I'm just seeing too many good abilities here that are going to make it a viable unit for just its diverse set of abilities. Improvised artillery, literally everything goes. There can be smoke, fire, all sorts of random artillery. So, okay. I mean, it's fine. It's a call-in. I do like the idea of this is pretty much like, look, we're down to our last few men. These are our last defenses. Let's go. And that continues with the last-ditch defenses with the Panther Tower that we mentioned, that I mentioned in the previous video, but apparently they highlighted range and firepower. The only thing about that I am like, and I don't want to just keep repeating, but the one thing I do want to highlight is the fact that it kind of reminds me of the coastal battle group for the Wehrmacht, and there is AT bunkers and that. So what's the difference between the AT bunker and this? Obviously, the Panther term can turn its turret, right? Where the bunker is literally just stuck in place. But I'm assuming it's going to be increased cost, but with that, it's going to be the ability to turn its turret, the ability to, what's it called? Maybe have better defenses, etc. Yeah, again, it's interesting that we now have 2 AT bunkers or AT emplacements. Recovery effort. This one's a bit weird because not only when I saw this, like, oh, salvage. Well, a lot of units have it. There's I believe a salvage ability for another Wehrmacht battle group, but also the DAK get it. The what's it called? The Americans get it for mechanized. They can salvage wrecks through their support center. But no, it's not just that. They can bring wrecks back to life. So essentially, you get yourself one of those Sturm Pioneers. They can recover a Tiger. So this is the Wehrmacht's ability to bring back armor from the dead. They made a note saying to send back for maintenance or repair. So I assume your Sturm Pioneers can heal armor, but that little note is just like a little weird. I'm assuming they're just like, oh, you know, it can be brought back, but I'm curious, could you heal on the front? And it's just, again, an interesting choice of words. Then we have Immobilize and Fortify, which reduces upkeep and refunds fuel for a tank, but in turn, essentially, that tank is literally stuck in place in the ground. Can't move, but it does have greater offense and defensive capabilities. There was an ability like that for fortifications for Company of Heroes 2 for the Wehrmacht, and I am just a little curious on that because for that one, you could turn it off and on. Here it says it reduces upkeep and refunds fuel. So if you're getting a refund, I don't think you can just toggle it off, right? Because then you get the fuel and that could cause issues to move it. So once you do this, I'm assuming it is a permanent choice. So in 4v4, I can see this being bonuses because in 4v4, there's so many units in certain maps that you're going to hit an enemy army. So you can't just flank. For 1v1s or 2v2s, maps can get so big that you can flank. There's multiple ways to get through. Every map's different. Again, you're not going to have Winterline compared to, I don't know, Alam El Hafa or something. But it does, again, it does bring up a little curiosity where I feel like this may be something people don't do because the enemy could just go around you. Final battle, it increases offensive capabilities, but gives you a debuff. But you refund munitions for every lost man, not manpower. They specifically said muni. So that's interesting. I'm curious how that will go because I could see you essentially sacrificing men, doing a lot of damage, and then calling in or doing abilities, any munitions upgrade, right, to just do additional stuff. Then we have, of course, the Bogward 4, which again is it's essentially the vehicle that has the anti-tank rocket launcher. Now, it didn't appear like you can fire a volley, but it wasn't one-shotting a Stewart. It crippled it. The engine was crippled, but it didn't one-shot it. So I think there is a possibility because it took a Panzerschreck from another squad to kill it. So there's a good possibility that you use this thing to hit armor to cripple its engine, and then either A, you have other TDs coming and or tanks in general to kill it, or B, you then like smoke that unit, or you the one that is engine critical. Then you activate the demo, which can be, it seems like, upgraded on this thing, charge the enemy, and just blow to Kingdom Come in order to kill the enemy armor, because it appeared to just one-shot Shermans. and it can also place demos. They're not just demos. These things, the explosion itself is much greater than a demo. So again, I'm curious how much it's going to cost for this upgrade, and how damaging is this thing? Because from the trailer, it appears that this thing is just a one-shot, one kill for some tanks. But they did reiterate it can hurt allied tanks. Panzerfaust rollout, essentially every unit, even if it doesn't have a Panzerschreck upgrade, can have the ability to constantly fire Panzerschrecks and inbound armor. So I could see this happening with like an armor charge or something, because you're thinking in your head, oh, that's a Panzer Grenadier, and for the Wehrmacht, the Panzer Grenadier doesn't have a Schreck, a Panzerfaust. It can't be crippled. But with that ability, which you have to use Immuni, it's like an airstrike or something, right? And then it activates. All your infantry now get Panzerschrecks and just constantly firing. So again, it's like, all right, we'll have to see how things go with that, because I could see that being very effective against enemy tank charges from the allies, like the British Crusaders, the Americans, EZ8s, etc. Now we have the Nebula River Overwatch. This, again, put down area, fires a artillery barrage that's more inclined to hit soft targets like infantry. So I could see that being a cap specific one, where if the enemy's going for, let's say, the middle victory point and you're like very close to winning, you call that in and it just shreds the inbound infantry. The other thing was scavenge operation. I'm not sure how this is gonna go. Again, a lot of them it appeared to be like, again, either or for the battle group, right? So I don't know. This one, it's like loot fallen enemies, replenish abilities faster, and then increases rate of fire. And they did put the chart of how it will look like here. So again, if I had to say the standouts here, it's going to be the Rolling Panzerfaust, the Bogward. I would say recovery effort, and probably the Sturm Pioneers are probably the highlight out of everything here. Like, those are definitely the highlights for stuff. But hey, let me know what you guys think for this battle group. Again, there are going to be more. There's 3 more battle groups, and I'll try to highlight those in different videos as they release. Next up, we have the live stream. One, they're adding 4 new maps. Bologna, to these names, that's by, I believe, a content creator, Brian. Wadi Darna by the Sphinx. Oliver, oh boy, Dutch Toast is gonna kill me in Viceroy. Oliverto Citra, which is a map that was number 2 in the map competition by GB Pirate. Give a shout out to him who organized it. So thank you, GB Pirate. But Dutch Toast and Viceroy with support won second place, with first place going to Wadi Darna. So, and again, that's a 2v2 map. Bologna is a 1v1. Oliveto Citra is a map that I've actually covered on my channel. It's a 4v4, and then there's another 4v4 made by Relic called Powder Keg. And that one, he specifically said cutoffs are important, and it's more specific toward the partisan units that can be deployed. So I guess like Balsham Pioneers, the US Partisans, anything that could drop behind lines and cut off territory would be probably bigger on that map. They also mentioned that there are going to be more maps, but they are going to be existing versions of previous maps. So, oh boy, Samo, Jebel Pass, and Road to Primasx essentially are getting not just their 1v1 version, but they're getting a 2v2, or if they were started off as a 2v2, they're 3v3. Their Relic's explanation in this was because they're lower picked maps on those like tiers 1v1 and 2v2, so they're going to bump them up to 2v2 or 3v3 in order to better fit the map, because of adding additional player could make that map better. So with the 4 new ones, as well as the 3 reworks, we're talking about, and I'm just bringing it up here as an idea, 1v1 will have a total of 15 maps, 2v2 will have a total of 15 maps, 3v3 will have a total of 11 maps, and 4v4 will have a total of 13 maps. So a good chunk per section. They also mentioned a bunch of gameplay highlights, vehicle riding. So if your infantry is riding a vehicle and they get shot, so they have to jump out, they'll continue with the tank until otherwise directed. Faster reloading on loading with infantry onto vehicles, so it's not taking you as much time and you can get going a lot faster. They also said reinforcements into buildings and I believe vehicles as well. So let's say you have a DAK half-track swarm and you're back at base, you don't have to disembark. You can just keep them in the unit and they'll heal, which is interesting. But that being said, they mentioned buildings. If infantry are in it, let's say the bunker is destroyed. Typically there's a chance the infantry could die because of like a random RNG chance. Well, they've decreased that, so the infantry will most likely be okay. And I guess their idea is to emphasize putting infantry into bunkers and buildings. I'm a little curious. I hopefully I heard that wrong. I like maybe just more bunkers, but the reason I'm a little bit more curious on that one is just because the other ones I'm like, okay, vehicle riding is not really is used as much, so yeah, emphasize that. But the reinforcement crit as well as the reinforcements into buildings seems like a potential issue, because then you could have something that's constantly reinforcing in a hard position, like a bunch of buildings. I think of like Magano, I always forget it, Magano Gap, where it's in the middle. You can have a bunker right behind it, just constantly healing infantry inside, which can make it just very annoying. I know that would emphasize mortars and flamethrowers and stuff to deal with it, or just tearing the building down, but I'm a little iffy on that. I have to see how its implementation, and does that become a hard point that becomes more insufferable and emphasizes more artillery. But next up was vehicle phasing, which has been reduced. So essentially, if you and an enemy tank, because I know I've highlighted this in shorts where you have a Grant that gets behind a king tiger or an elephant or something, right? Well, here the phasing won't be as prevalent. It still can happen, especially with allied vehicles to help with choke points, but if it's an enemy, you can block a tiger and stop him from retreating. He can't phase through you. It's not the hard blocking like they had in release that no one liked, because again, it would just stop everything and things would just be choke pointed or blocked entirely. But they're reducing phasing is what they said. The DAK faction's getting a whole new assortment, and I think they showed the unlocks in the battle group. So essentially, sorry, not battle group, the support center type building. So you get the upgrades, and there was of course like half track upgrades, and you have on top of half track upgrades, you have like the infantry can repair faster, and then you have your second tier when you unlock a building, and the third tier when you unlock like the tank building. But the thing about that is they all had abilities that would kind of make sense. Like, you don't want automatic repairs for vehicles and additional health as one of the first unlocks, but you don't want also like you want to balance it out as the game progresses. But here, all of them were just kind of open. So is it going to be a system where you can pick and choose what you want? Again, very curious. I don't know what the abilities are, because they are different, it appears. Like, one looked like veteran squad leader, but then another one looked like unlocking infantry, so I don't know what it's going to be. They said it is going to rework the DAK faction entirely, so I am curious to see what that looks like. But I think that will intrigue a lot of players and bring them in to try something new. They also mentioned heavy tanks are going to be changing. Infantry in the late game is going to be stronger, and they mentioned how they mentioned how like vehicles are like more emphasized than infantry in the late game. And just to put something there, I will agree with that. Vehicles are emphasized in the late game over infantry, but that's typically because the late game is not really focused on necessarily just infantry and armor. It's infantry, armor, and artillery. Artillery is the thing that usually makes infantry, I don't say null and void, but more scarce, because people just get whole squads wiped by Stuka barrages, Whizbang barrages, Bishop fire, you name it, West fire, especially if you have more abilities with more artillery, and both sides have all caches down, all muni, and 4v4s, you're going to see infantry just wiped. I hopefully that doesn't mean they're essentially going to nerf tanks, try to upgrade infantry, but then run to the same problem where, sure, you make a slight buff to infantry, but the artillery becomes the thing that just pushes them down because tanks are now worse. It makes artillery more prevalent. But again, time will tell. I just thought that was interesting. The last thing was voice acting, which they did bring up a little explanation on the Polish and the Kriegsmarine. So the Kriegsmarine units, the idea behind them is a bunch of guys in a sub that got sunk off Gibraltar. So a lot of the voice lines talk, I guess, about that experience of being forced to fight in losing battle in Tunisia. Like that, because again, I think a lot of players are like, why the Kriegsmarine? why them in North Africa? But again, especially not the Regia Marina, the Italian Navy, but at least this explanation makes sense. They're essentially fighting in a situation they don't want to be and want to go back to the Navy. The Polish veterans as well, apparently they have like guys that are fought for Poland, got captured by the Soviets, then were sent to essentially released to the British to fight in Italy. And they talk about their experiences with the Firefly crew being even more grizzled and more, like, I don't want to say pessimistic, but definitely not exactly thrilled about the situation they're in. But yeah, again, they also mentioned some voice lines that actually relate to John from Relic about his family history being Polish. And fun fact, actually, my dad's side of the family, they immigrated from, well, I don't want to say Poland. I mean, the area is Polish, but I believe the towns that they originally came from are actually now northern Ukraine, like toward the left side, closer to Poland. But yeah, kind of like that general area. And then they got to the US and they said, your last name is atrocious. We are rewriting it. And to this day, everyone still gets my name confused because they don't know how to pronounce it, because even now it's butchered. But it's fun stuff. But anyway, that's my thoughts on all the updates and everything, kind of give you a distilled package. What do you guys think? Again, leave your comments below. I think a lot of the stuff is interesting. I like the new maps. Most of the gameplay changes, I think, is a positive. I like the Last Stand Battlegroup for the most part. There's some things I have questions on, but overall, again, it's more implementation. I can give thoughts, but it's really going to come down to what is the gameplay. But yeah, leave your comments down below what you guys think, and I'll keep you guys updated as more comes out. This has been Greyshot17, and I'll see you all next time.
Hello everyone, this is Greyshot17, and before y'all go, let me give a special shout out to Patreon supporters Joey G240, Milam, Big Cooch, Aphyria, Ace, Pyro Shark, Tonybee 95, Epic Pleb. Thank you all for your incredible support in helping me grow my channel and support my channel and everything I do. Thank you, and to the rest of you, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.